Okay, so here's some things to know. I'm really excited about WebAssembly, having learned about it and everything, very much so. And I'm reading on it on the developer blogs and everything on Mozilla, and I realized this was 2017 stuff, but I'm going over it and reading about it and having thoughts that are going through my head, which is just. So the thing is that I don't hate JavaScript really, despite the fact that I love to pick on it and just nitpick at its flaws and trash talk it around here. I'm very fond of doing that, but the thing is that I feel that part of it's frustration basically. I don't like I know this language has its merits and that it's used for the things that it's useful for the things that it's useful for, and that I would expect people, even with WebAssembly, to write, like manipulate the DOM elements, the document modules, model or whatever, that stuff that it needs to do in the browser. I would think that would be all handled by JavaScript the way that it has been traditionally, you know. But when it comes down to the stuff that really needs good efficient stuff that will be dumped onto a WebAssembly in the future, and what frustrates me, I guess, is not that that programs are cobbled together in multiple languages. I mean, good for them. It's just that I feel that JavaScript was the only game in town for front end web development for a long time, and as a consequence, we leaned way too hard on it. And then when just in time optimizations came, like retracing, the origin of how we got here, just in time optimizations came, right? They were here, and everybody thought they were enough, people like JavaScript developers, if you hear them talk, about JavaScript, they'll be like, well, it got faster as a defense, or they'll say something along the lines of like, it's fast enough, or it's fast in every way that matters, is like the defense that they make of it, and it's all very cringe-inducing when you see it, at the end of the day, and when you're aware of all these other languages, and you're thinking, wouldn't it be great if we could bring like something like Rust to the web, or these other languages to the front end web development, and you can't do that, yet, or weren't able to for a very long time, and that meant that a lot of sites that were at enterprise level, you know, ended up being developed in basically JavaScript almost entirely. Like Facebook is one of like the quintessential, almost perfect example of a piece of enterprise level software. Have you dug into the settings on Facebook and seen just how deep and nested they are? Once the user decides that they really want to configure it the way that they want it configured, and they want to play around with the Facebook settings. I mean, have you seen how deep in those pages can go? It's pretty impressive, and this was all like like it's pretty much entirely PHP and JavaScript that this was written in, and it should have been obvious to almost all of us a long time ago that the web needed, the front end side of things needed a third language that wasn't JavaScript or PHP. And I'm not, and HTML and CSS don't count. Okay, those are markup things that are done, not as programming. That's not programming we're talking about over there in that world. That's just displaying and telling the web browser how you want it to display things. That's not programming. Okay, it's useful, and you can get a lot done with just those skills, and you can do a lot of things with it, and it's kind of impressive how much you can put together, and how good some of it can look once it's finished. But it's still not programming. Okay, HTML, I know it very well. I don't know, at least HTML4, I'm pretty familiar with it, and you know because that's what I used for years and years and years. Now I could very quickly upgrade to HTML5, and everything for the front end side of things. But the web has only it's only very recently, like 2017 or so, had WebAssembly. And that's a big problem because it means that JavaScript has been it's been out there for a long time, and you've been lulled to sleep. I mean, we didn't get WebAssembly until 2017 because of the fact that JavaScript gave us just-in-time compilation. I mean, that's the point of view I hail from. It's not like I think JavaScript is a useless language that has no real purpose or that it can't serve any function. It's just this stretching of it beyond the point of being a language that was originally designed for being lightweight and lightweight web applications and then it was turned into something that was running like enterprise level software. Some of these websites like Facebook are they're so mammoth, and they're still running on like JavaScript and PHP even today on the front end side of things, and that just seems insane to me. Like why have we done this? Like gone so far down this rabbit hole, and what it really boils down to is that web developers only had JavaScript to work with. They didn't have anything else. There was no alternative to JavaScript and PHP. And that's just so. Those being the only tools in their tool chain was a big problem. And the fact that just-in-time compilation came along meant that they were not going. It delayed beyond the natural shelf life. Somebody would have come along and said, or created a toolkit that made the web development more efficient if it sooner, had it not been for just-in-time compilation. That's what I'm trying to say. That's like the point of view that I hail from. It's like, yeah, true. Something was needed, but we did the easiest. We instead of doing the hard part that needed to be done, we went for the easiest solution, the lazy solution, which was basically doing just-in-time compilation of JavaScript.